Alright. We are up. Okay, it's been a long time um, since I told people that I've been streaming live. Um, but since this is a good time to stream, because it's like, 2 hours before the cup race. Um, and we had a truck race last night that we want to talk about. For once, I just want to check and see if she can see if I can. Okay. Let's share here on the. Okay, and just sharing the link for you guys on Twitter here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it out. And there we go. All right. Yep. Okay, I might want to do it on Instagram too, just to be sure, cause, might want to do this on Instagram as well. Yeah, this is live, by the way. I'm just waiting to see if some people can get into chat here. I'm gonna check if there's some people in chat right here. No. Okay. Never mind. So let's do this then. Let's do this then. Where do I? No, I just wanna put the link on my story. Okay, I don't know how to do it. Okay. Okay, let's try this then. Let's talk about last night's truck race. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm so sorry about the delay there. But yeah. We had a truck race last night. The truck race at Bristol. This is, I believe, the first ever time the truck series has run at Bristol in the spring. On concrete, of course. The last 3 years they've done this was on the dirt surface. But yeah, Bristol is back on concrete. Right back where it belongs, in my opinion. And for the first time in forever, the weather is not an issue. Thank goodness, because qualifying for both the trucks and the cup race, it was held under a pretty clear sky. There were no concerns about the weather throughout Saturday's race. I've heard some rumblings there might be during Sunday's race. I mean, you know how Bristol spring weather is, but hopefully that's not the case, and I don't think it's going to be the case. So anyways, what really stuck out to me at first about the truck race was that we had like 250 laps of action instead of the usual 200, which, I mean, it's not I don't think it's I don't think it affects like the product overall, just 50 more laps. I just thought it was interesting. 250 laps at Bristol. Personally, if you ask me, I like it. Just a little bit more action to enjoy on a great track. They also put some racing on the track for both the trucks and the cup race, so it was a bit. I was a bit intrigued / worried about what might the racing do. I'm not a big fan of NASCAR. Artificially aging the track. I just want the track to age. I feel like the best racing comes when the track is aging naturally. So, anyways, we got a battle here. once again, another battle between McAnally and Spire Motorsports. Christian Eckes on the pole. We had Nick Sanchez joining him in the front row. Then we had Taylor Gray and Kyle Busch right behind him in third and fourth, respectively. Then Ty Majeski fifth, Roger Caruth sixth, Zane Smith making another Truck Series start for McAnally in seventh. Then Caden Honeycutt driving the 45 for Nice Motorsports in eighth, Tyler Ankrum ninth, and Daniel Dye 10th. Other notable drivers that qualified throughout the rear of the field: Bailey Curry in 12th, Connor Jones 14th, Corey Heim 15th. I do believe this is his best qualifying effort of the season. I may be wrong. But see here. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, Ben Rhodes 16th, Matt Mills 18th, William Sawallich. I do believe this is his first start of the season. I don't think he's turned 18 yet, so he cannot run like full time. But once he turns 18, I do expect Tricon to put him in a full time truck, especially since he is like a Joe Gibbs Racing development driver, and he's been driving in ARCA for them. I do expect. Once he turns 18, I do expect him to get a full-time ride lined up. And then Mike Crafton in 20th, Stuart Friesen 23rd, Stephen Parsons 25th, Lane Riggs 28th. He spun out in practice. Again, just another chapter to his rough start of the season. Justin Carroll, and then we got further back, we got a couple of guys that are like making their first truck starts of the season. Justin Carroll in 32nd, Trey Hutchins in 35th. Only 36 trucks showed up, so no one failed to qualify. Mason Maggio started at the rear in 36 after not posting a qualifying lap, but because the only 36 trucks came into the race, everyone who entered is automatically qualified into the race. You know how that works. So anyways, stage 1 only had an early caution. That was a Matt Mills spin after getting loose off turn 2. While running like outside the top 20. Nothing much happened in stage 1, just Christian Eckes pulling away to a lead over Nick Sanchez, Kyle Busch, and Taylor Gray on that first caution. On the restart, there was more of the same. Eckes leading, Taylor Gray and Nick Sanchez battling for second. Gray managed to get the better of Sanchez actually for a moment. Roger Caruth also got loose from 5th. He made an amazing save, but he fell down to 9th, though, and he got freight train on the outside. Something I noticed, especially during the start of the race, during like stage 1, but as the race went on, this became less of an issue. The inside lane was definitely the way to go in stage 1. Because that's where NASCAR just put the risk in there. It was like a bit of single groove racing in stage 1, but as the race went on, it became less of an issue, as you could see drivers like making more moves on the outside. By the end of the race, both lanes were, I feel like they were equally balanced. You could make ground on the inside as well as on the outside. But overall, I'll say the inside lane had the advantage overall, simply because the outside groove, it took more time to like as the race went on, whereas the inside lane, you could just run into it like from the get-go. It was a great lane to be on. But yeah, as the stage went on, the leaders started also reaching lap traffic. It allowed for Taylor Gray to catch up and challenge Eckes for the lead. During this, Kyle Busch, he made a great crossover pass on Sanchez by splitting both the two and the lap car of, I believe it was Dean Thompson on the bottom, down the middle, to defend third place. It was a great pass too, because he was like on the outside 3 wide. Dean Thompson, he just like, I believe he locked the tires up. He held up the 7. The moment Kyle just dropped down, he just went back and he passed both Dean Thompson and the 2 truck of Nick Sanchez on the inside. It was just amazing. Just Kyle Busch at Bristol. Unfortunately, those same lap cars also ended up hindering the leaders in the end. And that's where the next caution came out. Stephen Parsons, he just made contact with Keith McGee off of turn 2. This caused the 22 to turn into Taylor Gray and spin out. No damage to the 22, fortunately. Only minor damage to the 17. McGee was in a free pass position too. Because, again, this happened while the second place car was passing them. So no free pass on this caution. Yeah, we go to pit road. The leaders stay out for stage points. Because the caution came out with less than 20 to go in the stage, and track position kinda really matter at Bristol. I mean, you can make passes, but because of the, not wanting to get stuck in traffic, and it's pretty hard to pass in traffic at Bristol, even if it's like, even if at the end of the race it was like a 2-groove racetrack, like dual groove racetrack, you really don't wanna. It's very narrow. Bristol is a very narrow short track, high banks. You want to stay up front. So the leaders stay out. The drivers that were like outside the top 15, they pitted. Tanner Gray, Jake Garcia, Curry, Lane, Ricks, Sawalich, Ty Dillon. Sawalich got a speeding penalty, and Brett Holmes. Brett Holmes also pitted. He also got penalized for driving over too many boxes. So on the restart, Kyle Busch, this time he got an amazing restart. He takes the lead from Ekes after restarting on the bottom due to Ekes and Sanchez choosing the top lane. Again, just another great restart from Kyle Busch. I don't want to say vintage Kyle Busch, but at the same time, it's been a long time since I have seen like a great restart out of him. And that great restart, it's all it took for Kyle Busch to get propelled to a Stage 1 win. Christian Ekes in second, Nick Sanchez third, then Ty Majeski, Zane Smith, Taylor Gray 6th, Ankrum 7th, Ben Rhodes 8th, Caden Honeycutt 9th, and Grant Enfinger 10th were all of the drivers who earned stage points. Roger Caruth, he failed to score stage points in the end, and Corey Heim also in 13th. He failed to, advance through the field and score stage points. Afterwards, we go to pit road. Leaders stay out again. The only drivers who pitted were Taylor Gray, Raja, Corey Heim, Connor Jones, Ty Dillon. Raja Caruth just had a disaster pit stop. He just slid through his box. He had to back up, only to get penalized anyways due to an improper driver assist. I don't know, whatever that means. So really tough scene right there for the 71 team, but who they had just come off winning last week at Vegas too, so. Go to stage 2. Kyle Busch and Ekes are in the front row. And this time, Kyle Busch holds the lead over Ekes despite restarting on the outside lane, with Sanchez still in third. It helped that Kyle was, of course, a control truck, so he managed to get the jump on the rest of the field first. This stage surprisingly went green the whole way, and I say surprisingly because you don't see the truck series like. Especially on short tracks, you expect like a lot of cautions and a lot of carnage happen. You know how the truck series is nowadays. But this stage and this race overall was pretty clean, which was honestly a pleasant surprise. There were some pretty close calls throughout the stage, though, especially towards the end. The most notable of which involved Mason Maggio. That 21 car was like all over the place, to the point that he held up some trucks, most notably the 66 of Connor Jones. Speaking of Connor Jones, he also had another close call with Keith McGee. They made contact, and this happened right in front of the leaders too. So Kyle Busch, Ekes, and Nick Sanchez, it slowed them down. Dean Thompson and Stephen Parsons, they almost made things ugly for Sanchez there. So you got the top three coming along with 2 lap cars ahead of them almost crashing, 2 lap cars behind them trying to race their way back into the lead lap or racing for the free pass position. It was a pretty tight scene right there, pretty dicey, but they all keep it clean though. Like I said, stage 2 went green all the way, and Kyle Busch swept the stages. Sanchez finished second after passing Ekes on the last lap. Lap traffic may have helped him out in the end. But it's pretty clear that Sanchez, he got the best long run car than Ekes. At the very least for the first half of the race, Sanchez had a car that could finish in the top 3, probably contend for the win. But for most of the race, Kyle Busch and Eckes, they were like the two guys to beat in the end. Eckes settled for third in the stage, Ty Majeski fourth, Zane Smith fifth, Tyler Ankrum sixth, Stuart Friesen in seventh, and then Matt Crafton in eighth, Ben Rhodes in ninth, and Lane Riggs in 10th. He managed to. He was one of those guys who pitted in one of the stage 1 cautions for fresh tires. He managed to use that fresh rubber, especially in the long run, to gain some ground and get, at the very least, even if it's just one stage point, at the very least, it's like finally showing some signs of life and finally starting to shake off that slow start that he got to the season. Corey Heim in 11th. He just barely missed out on stage points. Taylor Gray in 19th, another notable driver that missed out on stage points as well, because he wasn't able to gain ground after pitting, as well as Raja Karuthi in 21st, who came dangerously close to being put a lap down. Like, by the time the stage ended, Kyle Busch was like within car lengths of lapping down Raja Karuthi. So we go to pit road. Everyone pits this time around. Kyle Busch wins the race of pit road. Nick Sanchez has to pit again. I believe he had an issue. I don't know what type of issue he had. Probably a loose wheel, but I guess we'll never know. The Fox broadcast just does a very poor job at covering the issues. They just said after they came back from break, they said that Nick Sanchez had pitted again with an issue, but they didn't elaborate on what that issue was. So I guess we'll never know. Ty Majeski also had a slow pit stop on the right front tire, with the right front tire. He lost a ton of track position. Raja Karuth, he gets penalized for pitting outside the box, and so Wallich, he also gets penalized again for speeding. So yeah, we go to stage 3 now. Just like on the last restart, it's Kyle Busch and Eckes the front row, with Kyle Busch restarting on the outside, and he holds the lead once again. The stage, just like in stage 1, stage 3 started with a quickie yellow. Majeski got loose off of turn 2, and he collects Ben Rhodes as they both go into the inside wall. They both have damage, but not serious enough. I guess you could say this is a byproduct of, I guess, having a bad restart. You have to restart in traffic. I know Majeski, like, he got loose on his own, but still, I just feel like this wouldn't have happened if he was running up front. Just saying. You know how it works. This time around, we go to the restart. We have another restart, and this time around, Christian Eckes, he manages to break even with the 7 truck on the restart, and he actually fights back to the point that they both make contact. Kyle Busch with an amazing save, no tire rub either. I fully expected the 19, either the 19 or the 7, to like get a tire rub, and I thought that that was going to be like the end of the race because they would have to pit under green, but fortunately they both kept it clean and they resumed their battle for the lead. Like, Eckes was still right there. Eckes does eventually get the lead a few laps later, and he starts slowly pulling away from Busch. I believe he pulled away to like a 1 second lead at most, but Kyle Busch always kept him at bay. It also helped that, again, they just Eckes had the better truck, but his weakness was that he couldn't get around lap traffic as fast as Kyle Busch could. You could chalk that up to a little bit of inexperience, I guess, but anyways, Matt Crafton, another driver that really surprised me today. Matt Crafton, he creeped up to third, and he looked like if something happened between the leaders, he was putting himself in position to pounce. If something happened with the 19 and the 7, he could like take advantage of the lead, and also the fact that he was able to run with them on that long green flag run throughout stage 3. Also pretty surprising. This was definitely the best I have seen Matt Crafton run in quite a long time. I guess I want to say 3 years. I mean, I haven't seen Crafton. When was the last time you saw Matt Crafton running top 5, having top 5 speed on a non-super speedway track? And I don't even think Matt Crafton has run top 5 that much on super speedways anyway. So, I don't know. So, anyways, we got some incidents though. Stage 3, obviously there was a caution in the middle of that run that it kind of upset me because just when the racing was about to get good, but We still had some close calls. Chase Birdie was slow on the track. He came down pit road for what I thought was a flat tire, but it turned out to be a mechanical issue. I realized that when the team had to take it to the garage. He did came back, but like several laps down though. I believe it was like he finished like 20 something laps down. Ty Majeski also came down pit road with an engine issue. Unfortunately, that was the end of his day. It was a really rough day for him. It all went south with that slow pit stop. Up front though, it was all Christian Eckes managing the lap traffic as well as the gap between him and Busch. And as Eckes kept dealing with lap traffic, Kyle Busch closed in on him. I believe he made it side by side for a moment, but Eckes held strong on the outside. Again, like I said, the outside lane, as the race went on, the outside lane came alive. At the start of the race, you wouldn't have been able to hold the outside lane to save your life. But as more rubber is put in on the track, as more cars run the outside groove, more drivers are just gonna, they're just gonna follow suit, and eventually it's gonna be a 2-lane track once again. That's just how the track just artificially ages as the race went on. So Eckes managed to hold the lead strong on the outside, and as Eckes kept dealing with lap traffic and Kyle Busch just battled with him side by side, this reeled in Crafton as well. So it was a 3-truck battle for the lead. Unfortunately, like I said, just when we were just about to see it all play out, a caution came out for Stuart Friesen and Nick Sanchez getting together while battling for 8th. Friesen, he squeezed Sanchez into the outside. The 2-truck did not back down because obviously it was already 20 something laps to go. I know this caution came out with less. I'm pretty sure this caution came out with less than 30 to go. So a dreaded late race caution. A dreaded late race caution. You already know what's up with the Truck Series when it comes down to these cautions. I was honestly a bit worried that the Truck Series was going to devolve into a shit fest, as it always comes when that's all it takes. One late race caution and all hell breaks loose. Fortunately though, that was not the case tonight. The leader stayed out on pit road. I mean, obviously, because track position matters. I believe all of these guys that were running up front, they were on that one-stop strategy, only stop at the end of stage 2 for fuel and tires, and then from there on out just make it to the end. Only Stuart Friesen, obviously because of the damage. I do believe Nick Sanchez also. But as for the guys that were not involved in the caution, aside from those two, Caden Honeycutt, Tanner Gray, Jake Garcia pitted. Everybody else stayed out though. Christian Eckes, on this restart, he got an excellent restart, and with Kyle Busch not getting up to speed as fast, this left him battling St. Smith for second. This allowed Eckes to pull away, and like I said, this was the final restart of the race. The race ended up going green the rest of the way, no overtimes, no nothing. We just were treated to, once again, Christian Eckes trying to hold off Kyle Busch while managing the lap traffic, with Kyle Busch slowly reeling him in. By the time the leader takes the white flag, Kyle Busch was within 0.4 seconds behind Eckes, and despite an amazing effort at the end, he was right there in his bumper, he just came one lap short. And Eckes is gonna be really lucky, because if this race had one more lap, if this race was a lap or two longer, I don't know how this race would have ended. For all we know, Eckes would have held the lead on the outside, or Kyle Busch would have rode the momentum to win. But either way, thankfully, this time around at Bristol did not end as ugly for Christian Eckes. He gets redemption from last year and finally gets the job done. He doesn't get this win. He doesn't let this win slip away from him, even though Kyle Busch almost made sure that happened. And once again, he just straight up beat Kyle Busch mano a mano. This is Christian Eckes' 6th career truck win. And to put this into perspective, if Kyle Busch won, it would have been his 6th win at Bristol in the Truck Series alone. So it's honestly crazy how that happens. One driver is fighting for his 6th career truck win. The other driver is just a veteran fighting for his 6th win at the track in the Truck Series. So once again, shout out to Christian Eckes, man. He just beat the best. Once again, just reaffirming my belief in him that he is the best driver that Chevrolet has in the Truck Series at the moment. He just had a bit of a slow start, but we all know what Eckes is capable of. He is a certified Championship 4 contender, in my opinion, and one of the title favorites. One of the title favorites all season long, right up there with Corey Heim and maybe Nick Sanchez. But yeah, and also this was a great day not only for Eckes but also for Bill McAnally Racing as a whole, because they had 3 of their trucks finish in the top 5, and then Daniel Dye, he finished 13th. So they got all 4 of their trucks in the top 13 and 3 of them in the top 5. So for as much as we have been praising Spire, and they have won each of the first 3 races. I mean, with Kyle Busch and Raja Caruth. Nick Sanchez also won Daytona, but Rev Racing, they're like they have a very close alliance with Spire, so you could say that that Sanchez is like a quasi teammate of Raja Caruth and those guys at Spire. So for as much as we have praised Spire Motorsports, McAnally, they have put together the most consistent results, and even though they haven't been winning as much races. I mean, they got the points leader in Tyler Ankrum, and they also got, in my opinion, the most talented driver in the as far as the Chevrolet drivers go in the truck series is Christian Eckes, the guy that just won today or last night, whenever that race was. But yeah, some exciting stuff going on for McAnally. Once again, McAnally versus Spire is one of the storylines that I'm gonna be paying very close attention to in the truck series, like the battle for who's gonna be the best Chevrolet team in the truck series. And again, like I said, Spire may have gained the upper hand for the first 3 races, but McAnally is punching back, and even if they haven't been winning as much, they have been putting out the more consistent results, and overall, they have the better talent overall, because Spire, even if you count Nick Sanchez, they also got Chase Purdy and Raja Caruth, who they're pretty good. Caruth is running pretty good, and Sanchez as well. The only weak link there is Purdy, but when it comes to McAnally, you look at. They also have 3 drivers of their own. They got Eckes, and Eckes is like the best of all of the drivers. It's like a tier above all of those guys. And then you have Tyler Ankrum, who right now is leading the points. I'm not gonna say he's on the same level as Nick Sanchez or Raja Caruth, simply because he hasn't won a race at least this season. But the fact that he's leading the points and his this early season consistency, he's made him one of the biggest surprises of the season so far, because I did not expect this out of Ankrum after some disappointing stints at GMS and Hattori. Yeah, but I'm honestly excited. I'm honestly happy to see that he is finally thriving and he found his place on that team. I had a bit of, I was a bit puzzled as to why McAnally would choose him to be like when they expanded their organization, but now I see that that Ankrum has matured into a very solid driver. All he needed was some, the right team around him. So, and also Daniel Dye. But right now, with the results that Daniel Dye is putting up, I guess you could say he's the quote-unquote weak link at McAnally. But even then, right now, he is putting better results than Chase Purdy. So, even though Spire may have the better resources, like I said, McAnally has the better talent. McAnally has the better talent overall, and that's why, I say both teams are right now evenly matched, even if this is like only McAnally's first win of the season and Spire has won the other 3. Again, this battle is still going to be this is going to be a storyline to watch for next season. I'm pretty excited to see how it all plays out. So, speaking of the other McAnally trucks, like I said, Saint Smith finished 3rd, Tyler Ankrum finished 5th, and Daniel Dye finished 13th. As for the other guys, the rest of the field, Matt Crafton finished 4th. Like I said, the best performance I had seen out of Crafton in quite a long time. He showed legit top 5 speed down the stretch of the race. Corey Heim finished 6th. One of only 2 drivers that has started every race with each of the first 4 races finishing in the top 10. The other driver being, of course, Raja Caruth, who finished 8th. Taylor Gray also finished 7th. Once again, one of the bigger surprises of the season, just like Tyler Ankrum, has been Taylor Gray. I knew he was going to be a playoff a playoff threat. But for him to start the season being like 40, almost 50 points above the cut line with a pretty solid cushion, I definitely did not expect that out of him. Grant Enfinger 9th and Lane Riggs in 10th. Lane Riggs finally getting his first top 10 finish of the season. First top 10 finish with this 38 team. Finally shaking off some of the slow start that they have had this season. Finally a good result for him. Bailey Curry in 11th. Caden Honeycutt in 12th. Daniel Dye, like I said, 13th. Ben Rhodes in 16th. Just a very rough day for him overall, and still in a bit of a championship hangover, as he has no top 10 finishes, and he is starting to dig himself in a bit of a hole. I do believe he is like 20 points below the cut line. Could be less than that, but I know Rhodes is hovering around the 15th place in points, but he's digging himself in a bit of a hole. And considering that a lot of the drivers that I didn't expect to be in the playoffs, like Ankrum and Taylor Gray, and also Roger Carruth, who actually won a race, he's already locked in. The fact that the playoff bubble is starting to get a bit more crowded this early season, this is going to be more of an uphill climb than you realize. Ben Rhodes can definitely make up that deficit, but considering that the level of competition that's like at the top there ahead of him, it's going to be more of an uphill climb than you think. Nick Sanchez finished 17th after that late race tangle between him and Friesen. And speaking of that, they got into an altercation after the race over what happened on the track. It's pretty clear that Stuart Friesen, he was pissed off at Nick Sanchez and he confronted him physically. I do believe he grabbed him by the neck, and I honestly don't understand why, because he was the one who caused the wreck by crowding Sanchez way outside. If anything, Stuart Friesen, he should just blame his spotter for the poor communication. And, for those people who say that Nick Sanchez should have let him go because Friesen was definitely crowding him, you don't expect the other guy to lift, because it's the last stretch of the race. I believe, like I said, this was the last caution of the race. This happened with less than 30 laps to go. May have been around 25 to go when this happened. Overall, though, I'm so happy that Sanchez is starting to stand up for himself. It's now twice already. Some Truck Series veteran confronts him physically. Last year it was, Crafton, that infamous brawl at Talladega after the race. This year it's Stuart Friesen. So overall, good stuff and seeing out of Nick Sanchez. He knows he didn't do anything wrong. He was just fighting for position. If anything, again, it was Stuart Friesen's fault. Stuart Friesen is at fault. But yeah, we now go. Speaking of Stuart Friesen, he finished 22nd in that incident. Just so you guys know. But anyways, Stephen Parsons finished 18th. Nice top 20 finish for him. And Connor Jones 19th. Speaking of Connor Jones, he is another driver that I want to talk about because apparently, scrolling through Twitter after the race, apparently NASCAR just called him and his crew chief to the hauler, presumably for the incident that happened with Keith McGee towards the end of stage 2. Apparently NASCAR, they might have taken exception to his 3-wide pass attempt on the apron. That near calamity that happened at the end of stage 2 when the leaders were approaching them and things got a bit dicey there. Apparently NASCAR took exception to his 3-wide pass attempt on the apron. Again, never mind, this is not considered out of bounds at Bristol, or that Keith McGee was an absolute rolling chicane all race long. Although, I guess you could argue this qualifies under reckless driving. Maybe I'm reaching, but considering NASCAR upper management has not been thrilled with how some of the truck drivers have been driving like absolute menaces the past couple of years, it wouldn't surprise me if this is NASCAR's way of sending a "we're not playing around with you guys anymore" type of message. You already know NASCAR upper management, especially after what happened at Phoenix last year, they don't want a repeat of that, and they're gonna be starting to enforce their officiating on the Truck Series a bit more closely. I do appreciate it personally, but still, if you're gonna send Connor Jones to the hauler for that, you might want to send Mason Maggio with him as well, because Mason Maggio, he was a rolling chicane all race long. I might have said Keith McGee there, that he was a rolling chicane, No, Mason Maggio was a rolling chicane all race long. So if you're gonna send Connor Jones to the hauler, just send Mason Maggio with him as well. But again, that's just my 2 cents. Ty Dillon finishes 20th. Low key, one of the bigger disappointments of the season. I know I had Ty Dillon in my playoff predictions, but that's simply because I just couldn't think of anybody else to fill that final slot. Again, that just goes to show how just badly I am at making predictions, especially for the Truck Series. But even then, Ty Dillon has been extremely disappointing. I expected him at the very least to be like a top 15 driver. Just a really tough start to the season overall for him. William Sawalich in 21st after getting 2 speeding penalties. Matt Mills in 25th. He started the first caution. Mason Maggio, once again, he was just out of control the entire race. Finished 29th. Brett Holmes 31st. Brett Holmes, and this is a bit awkward for me to say this, but Brett Holmes has been low-key another one of the big surprises this season. Despite the bad finish, he is still, don't look now, Brett Holmes is still top 10 in points, despite this bad finish. He entered this race, I believe, 8th in points with a solid 20-something cushion. Obviously, with the bad finish, now he is I believe he is 10th in points, only 5 points above the cut line. But the fact that he is still in the playoff bubble with 4 races into the regular season, yeah, I know this is obviously not gonna stand, but I do expect the cream to rise to the top as the racing goes on. But still, great early season start for Brett Holmes, despite the bad finish notwithstanding. Keith McGee 32nd, just a very trouble race, over a very difficult race for him. Chase Birdie 33rd, Ty Majeski 34th, both with mechanical issues. And then finally Trey Hutchins 35th, Justin Carroll 36th. I don't know if they were start and park entries. They might have been. I know NASCAR. I know you don't see that practice too often because of the adjustments that NASCAR has made to their purses to prevent starting and parking from being a viable option. But I didn't see much out of them. Maybe they were starting and parking. Maybe they had an actual mechanical failure. You know how these small teams are, but. Either way, they finished 35th and 36th respectively. Overall, this was a nice little truck race to get the weekend started. When the truck drivers race clean and there are no cautions, they actually put on a show, which is why watching the Truck Series nowadays can get pretty frustrating at times because you know what they are capable of. This Truck Series, these trucks, these vehicles, they are capable of putting so much great racing. But it's just that the drivers, they're just young. There are no veteran presence. There's no veteran presence to guide them in the Truck Series. Notice how it's only when Kyle Busch runs that the truck drivers actually run well. It's because they have that veteran presence to say, "Oh, Kyle Busch is running. We have to race to beat him, not beat ourselves." But yeah, when no Cup drivers are running. Like what happened at Daytona, and I know Corey LaJoie ran there at Daytona, Cup driver, but I'm talking about a Cup driver with actual pedigree, not a Corey LaJoie. I'm talking like a Kyle Busch or like a Christopher Bell, like what you saw in the race at Vegas. But yeah, this last 2 Truck Series races, I feel like a huge part of why they have been so good is because of those Cup drivers' presence. Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell. And I know there's gonna be a couple of more Cup drivers popping up from time to time in the Truck Series. I don't know who's gonna be running at Coda yet. Maybe I may have seen it, but it just I just missed it. But I know for a fact there's gonna be a Cup driver on the truck at Coda. I know there's gonna be another Cup driver at Martinsville, North Wilkesboro. But yeah, I know Cup drivers, they don't usually race as much because of the restrictions placed upon them, but when they show up, it's like the truck drivers, they just flip a switch and say they go from racing like, recklessly to, racing clean and trying to pass them cleanly. I don't know how that mentality works, but it really shows the effect that Cup drivers have on these young drivers. That sense of guidance, that veteran presence that they have. Um, and even with the restrictions, I still hope that more truck drivers actually try, that more Cup drivers actually try their hand out at truck races. They don't have to run the full season, obviously, but like 3-4 races. I know Calvish is running the limit of 5. He's always running like his 5 truck races a year because he loves running there, and also because, especially in the when it comes to Spire, I mean, Spire is his old team basically. Calvish Motorsports, he sold that team to Spire, so he's gonna be running his 5 races a year for them for the foreseeable future, at least until he retires. But yeah, again, that's just my 2 cents on my thoughts regarding truck drivers and how they run, depending on who is on the grid. But yeah, it's right now it's only 2:15 p.m., so an hour and 15 minutes before the Cup race. I guess I'm gonna leave this here. I'm kind of interested to see how the Cup cars are gonna run at concrete Bristol under a clear daytime sky. Maybe the cars are gonna be more slick. I know they were during practice. A couple of guys were loose. I know Carson Hocevar, he had like that save in qualifying. It affected his time, but he had a great save. Kyle Busch also had a great save in qualifying, but unfortunately, that may or may not have killed his chances of advancing into round 2, because it's happening in round 1 of qualifying. Also, Ty Gibbs, I believe he scrubbed the wall because his car got like tied and slid off the track. So I'm really a bit intrigued to see how these Cup cars are gonna be running at Bristol in the day. Usually when they run at Bristol concrete, it's always been like at night, the night race. So yeah, that's all for my part, and let's see what the Cup race has in store for us. Peace out.